All right, so the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is an NFL segment. It's probably going to go on the NFL channel, but I want to get the chat's opinion. This is the Detroit Lions. You can see everything, right? Detroit Lions fan base. But I want to give you guys his opinion because we went through a similar situation, not quite as similar to the levels of Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin, 6 losses in the playoffs, has not won a playoff game in 8 years, is kind of hanging his hat on the never had a losing season. But eventually that wears thin. Now, the Rooneys are not going to move on from him. They've already said that they're not going to move on from him. And I want to ask my Detroit Lions fan base in this chat, and if you come across this video, which you probably won't, is it time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to move on from Mike Tomlin? One of the things that I respect about the Pittsburgh Steelers is they are responsible for the Rooney Rule. And the Rooney Rule is a valiant attempt at trying to get minorities like myself and others to at least get interviewed. Is it a hoax? Does it matter? No, because it's just a rule. It's meaning you have to interview a minority coach. It doesn't mean you have to hire them. And you could already have somebody in mind that you're going to hire, but you have to interview a minority coach. So I understand what he was trying to do, and I appreciate that. But it reminds me of when we had Jim Caldwell, and I was a big fan of Jim Caldwell. I think that Jim Caldwell might have been able to get it done. I know a lot of people did not like Jim Caldwell. They don't think he could have got us over the hump, and we'll never know. But Jim Caldwell was a winner. I don't believe he had a losing season. I could be wrong. It's been a while. Jim Caldwell was 2014 to 2017, but Mike Tomlin got like way more on his resume than Jim Caldwell had with the Detroit Lions. But is Mike Tomlin getting stale? Okay, Gurdit says Tomlin needs to go. Run DG says he might need a fresh start somewhere else. Marvin says, yeah. Maybe he can pull an Andy Reid. And I was going to bring him up as an example. Andy Reid is probably the best example of a coach that kind of plateaued with one team and went to another and became a dynasty, right? Mike Tomlin would be hired in a second by another team. I think if Mike Tomlin was fired today, which he's not going to be, he actually has a no trade clause. You know you a real one. If you a coach and you have a no trade clause in your coach contract, that means you a dog. You are definitely a dog head coach. But is it time? One of the things, the reason I brought the Rooneys up is because the Rooneys are an old school organization. The Pittsburgh Steelers are old school. They old school. They are one of the organizations that are stuck in their ways. When they brought in Mitchell Trubisky a couple years ago, I told Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate at the time that he was a bum. And what were they doing? They had a shot to get Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if that would have been any better, but that was the year he decided to stay in Green Bay one more year. Got paid like $50 million to stay there. But the Rooneys are old school. They're old school. Batman says, I think Tomlin's done. Team looked like they didn't even want to be there at some point. Never having a losing season is as mediocre as it sounds because that just means you won one more game than you lost. That is a bar, bro. As a matter of fact, that's such a bar. And yes, that's going to be in the segment. Gotta love this soundboard, man. That's such a bar that you get this. That is a bar. That is 100%. I think it is time for a change for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because I think we're going to see the San Francisco 49ers hit the same thing. The same thing. And how quickly it's going to go from we believe in Shanahan and Lynch to the 49ers have parted ways with Shanahan and Lynch, both at the same time. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are in shambles. They in trouble. They have no quarterback. Justin Fields, they did not pick up his fifth-year option. He's a free agent. Black and gold, here we go. He's a free agent. They have no quarterback on the roster, as far as I know. Najee Harris is not going to return to Steeler. They got some work to do. TJ Watt, he's under contract for one more year. Could they leverage him? Could they trade? The Pittsburgh Steelers are a great old school organization. But that's one thing about the Detroit Lions that I respect is that Sheila got out the way and she let this team be modern. See, William Clay, he held this team back. Martha Firestone, she was old. She old, bruh. But Sheila did the unexpected, which was bring some modern flavor. We brought in Chris Spielman, right? We brought in Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, outside the box hires. It might be time for the Mike Tomlin to move on. And they already said he's not. You know what the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base is saying now? That they already know they're going to run it back. They're going to do just enough not to have a losing season. And they're going to be talking the same way next year. But what's different next year? It's TJ Watt. TJ Watt, unless he gets extended this offseason, he will not be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He won't. I'm going to predict that TJ Watt will have a very similar career to his brother. His brother started off a Houston Texan. They didn't do anything, went to the Arizona Cardinals, did more. That's what's going to happen for TJ Watt. I don't think he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler this time next year. And he's going to find a new team, hopefully the Lions, a new team that he's going to go be able to make some progression with. So let me know, should Mike Tomlin, should the Pittsburgh Steelers move on, even though they've already said they won't, should they move on from Mike Tomlin? As a Detroit Lions fan, that Jim Caldwell, as much as it pained me to move on from him, it was the right decision because it wind up leading to Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell was that culture shock that we needed. So that's just my take. Let me know yours in the comments.